Hi, my name is Steve Sposato, and I work at Chicago Public Library. And I was part of a design thinking team that focused on reader's advisory, which is an area of librarianship that helps to connect patrons with good books to read. We were trained in our design thinking classes to really focus and take a lot of time to craft a good "how might we" question. And so we really focused on what we wanted to do our project around, and we decided that we wanted to focus not on the patrons who were coming to the desk and asking for help, because we already knew how to help them, but to focus on the patrons who were maybe shy about coming up and asking for help, or too busy, or they might not ever think to even ask a librarian for a book suggestion. So the "how might we" question was, how might we help independent adult readers find a good book today? And we really wanted to focus on what we could do with the library space for visitors who might not be interacting with staff. And this was all in alignment with Chicago Public Library's strategic goals. And as part of this project, we spoke to some folks that we know who are readers of books, but who aren't in the habit of coming to libraries, to see what we could learn from them. And then we spoke to some experts in the field who work in libraries, who have done a lot of work on this issue. And then we decided to get out and do some field trips and to visit some businesses that do something similar to what libraries do. So of course we started with bookstores and went to some of our favorite independent bookstores in Chicago. This is Unabridged Books and Women and Children First. And then getting away from books a little bit, we went to Reckless Records that has DVDs and CDs for sale to see what they do. And there's a great store in Chicago that one of the people on our team knew about, where teachers go to buy supplies for educational purposes like science experiments. And then lastly, one of our members of the team thought about Binny's, which is a great local store that sells beer and wine. And if you're anything like me, I am not the least bit of an expert about wine, and so if I'm going to a party, I need a little bit of help trying to figure out what to bring. And so we noticed some things that they're all doing in common. And we took that information back and we thought about what we'd learned. The top tips that we got from everybody was that displays they really benefit when you can have a strong visual component, and color is especially important. And so back in our class, we were encouraged to start brainstorming, and we brought out the Post-it notes and started using our basic stick figure drawings to start making plans. And the two ideas we wanted to focus on right away were the shelf talkers and the staff pick bookmarks. So the shelf talkers are a lot like those pieces of paper or note cards that we saw in the stores that we visited. They have information about the products, and they're designed to entice browsers and draw them into the experience of browsing in the store. And the staff pick bookmarks are a simpler idea, where instead of filling up a card with an annotation, you would just simply sign your name to a bookmark and put it into a book and put it on display. And so we designed some crude versions of these in our class, and we tested them out that day on a lunch break and watched how patrons and staff interacted with them, and we talked to some people. And we learned some things right away. First of all, we learned that the staff pick, that the shelf talkers that worked the best were the ones that had some kind of color or something eye-grabbing, maybe a rocket ship icon for science fiction, or an author photo, or a book jacket. And we also learned that small font for the writing wouldn't be as effective as something a little bit shorter and bigger. And for the staff pick bookmarks, we quickly learned that our first design needed a little bit of retooling. On our first draft, we had the staff name buried too far down on the bookmark, so when you put it in a book, it was hard to see. And so our big takeaway in general is that we decided that when it comes to stacks, that we needed to focus on this issue that they should no longer be static. And so we came up with this mantra of no more boring book stacks. Librarians tend to focus on new books, whereas the old book storage tends to always stay the same. It never changes. That's very different if you go to a grocery store or a retail space. They're always freshening up their aisles and drawing your eye to them in some interesting visual ways. So that we found that really inspiring. So we took that idea and that mentality out on a wider scale, and we went to the branches and started experimenting with these tools in a bigger way. And one of our victories was that the week that Pokemon Go was everywhere in the news, we caught a teen who was playing the game in the library, and they actually looked up from their game and looked at one of our products, and so we counted that as a big victory that had drawn his attention away from the game. We worked with our marketing department to roll out more professional-looking versions of the products. And we started experimenting with bookstore-style displays. That was kind of our third idea, and we were encouraged to develop on that. And that was a big hit, and in fact, patrons asked for the table to come back once we took it away. And we continued to roll it out to the branches and further implement it. And overall, we were very happy that this is a technique that can be done very cheaply. All you need is a printer and some paper and some know-how. And so at this point, we're just focusing on rolling it out to the branches more and increasing staff buy-in and awareness of these options. Thank you very much for listening.